what is happening? You are tuned into another episode of Stu's Bob right here on Active TV. I am your girl Nalzidi and welcome to my home. This is your first time in my home. I know I did a video about how I moved and this is the new place that I'm in right now, but we are going to be speaking not about that. I'm going to be telling you a story time about how I almost died. Dun dun dun. Yes. So last week, Sunday, the 5th of December, was a very epic day. I woke up early in the morning, I got dressed, I went to church, worshiped the Lord, and then on my way back. So just a little background, ever since I moved to Lynmere, I've been using the taxi system. Now, if you don't know what a taxi in South Africa looks like, this is what a taxi in South Africa looks like, or what it should look like, but this is what a taxi in South Africa sometimes looks like. And I got into one of these rides after church and I was on my way home. Now, on my way home, we are driving, everything is normal, everything is okay, like nothing to be suspicious of at all, right? Until the moment came, yes, tragically. So we riding down and I usually have earphones on in the taxi and I'm usually listening to some music and I'm listening to my music and the taxi stops. Now, if you're in South Africa and you know taxis always stop. There's not a time a taxi not stop because someone's getting off, someone's getting on. So for me, it's like it's normal. So the taxi stops and then people start standing up. So I'm like, okay, people are getting off the taxi, but then people start screaming and they all stand up and they all rush to the door. Now, if you're a South African, you know, when one person runs, you all run. What you are running away from, you will ask after. When you're done running, you will ask, so what were we running away from? Sometimes you run for nothing, but everybody gets up. So now I get up because I'm in a fright. And when I look in the front of the taxi, it's on fire. Like literally inside the taxi, there's a fire right there. It wasn't a fireplace, it wasn't planned, it wasn't a fancy taxi where there's like a fireplace inside, nothing like that. It literally was on fire. Now the taxi driver gets out and now we are all trying to get out, but you know when you're panicking, nothing works out. So nobody can open this door and we all look at the fire and like this person is battling with the door. So now the taxi starts shaking and now people are panicking even more and now we cannot get to this door open. Eventually, I think the driver went to the other side and opened the door from the outside, so we all were able to run out of the taxi. So now we start running down the road, right? And you think the drama was over, but it wasn't. We all start running down the road in order to get away from the taxi that's on fire, and the taxi starts reversing. So now hero taxi driver runs to the taxi and pulls the handbrake up while it's on fire. I think at that moment he's like, I don't want it to go down. Like, I don't know what he was thinking. He was just on superhero mode there. And literally now we start running up because now the taxi is reversing and we're like, no! So now we start running up the road and then he eventually stops the taxi. Eventually the fire was put out and then we were pulled into another taxi, which now I'm in this other taxi. Like, what if this one starts burning as I'm about to die? And literally when we were out of the taxi, there was a lady who had a baby and she was having a panic attack because obviously she was like, my baby, but her baby was okay. And she was okay as well, but she was having a panic attack. There was another lady whose leg was injured badly and she was bleeding. The other guys were fine. I thought I was fine until I got home and I started feeling pains in my legs and then I saw that my leg was swollen. I had bruises on my leg and stuff like that. Obviously from the panic you don't feel it because of the adrenaline rush. But that day I nearly died. Didn't tell much people about it. I was still trying to process what on earth had happened there. But that was a story of how I almost died. It was very scary. It was very tragic, if I could tell you. And for me, many people look at that and they go, my life flashed before my eyes. And listen, it does. But for me, the most important thing was, God, I'm not done. And I thought that was what I'd bring to this video. Not only, I nearly died, whatever, but I'd also bring the element of purpose. And for me, it was something that stood up inside of me, that I need to start going towards my purpose. I need to stop messing around. I need to stop not doing what God has told me to do. And I need to start living out my purpose, because if I had died that day, I wouldn't be able to say that I had lived out my purpose. I wouldn't be able to say that I had completed what God has put me on this earth to complete. And for me, that's one of the most important things. That if you don't know what your purpose is, start asking God. Tell him to give you a vivid, clear picture of what your life is supposed to look like at the end, because you don't want to end up in a situation where you die and then your life meant nothing, or you get to heaven and you're like, I did not fulfill the purpose that God had for me. So that's really what I wanted to get to. Honestly, if you do die, and when you do die, we're all gonna die. I don't know why I said if you do die. But when you do die, you want to know that you've lived out your purpose. You want to know that you've done what God left you on this earth to do, or brought you on this earth to do. And you want to know that you lived a life that was full and that was of purpose. And I've come full terms with it. It took me quite a while because I was in panic mode. And many times now, even when I get into a taxi, I'm like, but that reminds me purpose. It reminds me, go for what God is telling you to do. I used to say often, oh my word, I can't die now, I haven't gotten married. But I've realized marriage is not the goal of my life. God didn't place me on the earth to get married. And yes, it's a nice addition to life. Not saying that I don't want to get married, but it's, what if I die? Have I lived out God's purpose? Have I completed what he brought me on this earth to do? And I just thought I'd encourage you with that for the last Strues Bob of the year. Yes, I nearly died, but I'm still here for more Strues Bob coming up soon. But also, make sure that we are living out our purpose, because I'm still here and I'm still going to live out my purpose. I'm still going to do what God placed me on this earth to do. And I hope that you choose to do the same. But for another week, this has been Nalty Lee signing out. I absolutely love you. Peace out and God bless for 2021. See you again in 2022. Love you and peace.